Now imagine you are going back 1,400 years to the time of Arsal Sa'd. You are in Mecca. You are about to enter a house, and Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is inside. You are now about to step through the door. Your heart feels like it will stop. Your breathing changes. It feels like time is slowing down, because you know in a moment you will see him. What does he look like? How is his face? How is his gaze? How is his smile? His voice? And the strangest thing, when you are near him, what kind of person do you become? Do the fears inside you become silent? Does your heart find peace? Or does it tremble even more? In this video, we explored the physical and spiritual qualities of our Prophet through authentic hadith. And we begin our Ramadan video series with this episode. To make sure you do not miss the next one, subscribe to the channel now, like the video, and support us with your comments so we can reach more people. If you are ready, let's begin. Yes, when you hear the name of our Prophet, what comes to your mind? What kind of persona do you imagine? Serious, distant, and unreachable. Leader? Did he look like some harsh, radical, and aggressive Muslims whose numbers have sadly increased in this time? No, never like that. He was completely different from those who make you feel that way, because if you had entered through that door and seen him, you would most likely have seen him smiling. One companion said, Abdullah bin Haris Tirmidhi, I have never seen anyone who smiled more than Rasulullah. So, Hadith. Tirmidhi Manakib 10. This sentence breaks many assumptions. That serious, always dignified, always distant image we built in our mind since childhood suddenly changes. It means his face was not only beautiful but also warm. He had a gentle nature, and being gentle does not mean being weak. In that time there were wars against Islam, there were enemies, there were betrayals, yet he continued with his gentle nature and did not change even a little in this matter. His heart did not become hard. This is something very great, because when people gain power they usually become harsh, but he did not become harsh. There is an event. A stranger comes. He enters among the companions. She does not recognize Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He asks, who is a leader of this people here? We need to think. Imagine a leader. He has built a throne in the hearts of tens of thousands of people. But someone coming from outside cannot tell who he is. Why? Because he did not act like a king. He did not live in luxury like many Muslim leaders today. There were no guards around him. There was no special throne. There was no separate protocol. And he answers, Hadith Hakim al-Mustadrak. The leader of a people is the one who serves them. This sentence is a revolution. It destroys the usual understanding of leadership. If you want to be a master, you must serve. Even before prophethood, he lived a humble life. He carried water, he carried loads, and people could not distinguish him from others. This is not only humility. This is a conscious choice. He established a state. He united the Arabian Peninsula. If he wanted, could have been like the king of today's Arabia. He could have had servants. He could have lived in luxury. Many people change because of money. Many people change because of position. Many people change when they start receiving respect from society. But in him, not even the smallest change happened in this way. In fact, as his responsibilities increased, his back would bend more, and he would start to stay hungry more often. At the beginning, we said he did not live like kings, but the lives of kings were lost in history for many important people who lived in the past. Many details of their lives are unknown, but his life, it is in front of us with the finest details. What we call the knowledge of Shomail begins exactly here. It is a knowledge that describes a person's outer appearance, physical portrait, facial features, walk, and gaze. The early Muslims did not see this matter as simple curiosity. They imagined him and worked for Rabbi, meaning to truly connect with him in their minds. They formed almost a spiritual portrait sketch, because the matter was not only to see, the matter was to build a connection. Now let us ask, can you truly connect with someone whose face you have never seen? Human psychology needs visuals, the heart needs imagination, and that is why the companions, while describing him, did not only describe a body, they described a light. Let us listen to the description of Hazreti Ali. Was of medium height, slightly taller than average, neither thin nor overweight. His bones were strong, a thin line of hair extended from his chest to his navel. His face was round, his beard was thick, his neck was bright, his skin was a mix of red and pink. He smelled more beautiful than musk. His eyes were large and black, his eyelashes were long and thick. When he wanted to look at something, he would turn with his whole body. Between his shoulder blades was a seal of prophethood. And this sentence, those who saw him suddenly would be shaken by his majesty. Those who knew him closely would become deeply attached with love. Here is the key word, mehbet. It means both a strong attraction and a trembling feeling of respect. What kind of balance is this? Can a person both make you love him and make you feel? Yes, he had. Disheim bin Abu Hale says his face shone like the full moon. You know, the night of the full moon, the sky is clear, the light is soft but strong, it pierces through the darkness of the night. Anas bin Malik goes outside one night and looks at the full moon in the sky. The moon is smooth, bright, complete. Then he turns his head, he sees him in the distance. He looks at the moon, then he looks at him, and these words come from his lips. Wallahi, he was more beautiful than the moon. This is not a romantic sentence. This is a testimony, because Anas, when he was still a child, was given to his service for 10 years. She observed him like a camera, every walk, every look, every silence. The judgment he gave on that full moon Night was not a moment of excitement. It was a result of 10 years. This is an exaggeration. No, this is a testimony of a heart. Our mother Aisha loses a needle. It falls to the ground. She searches, but cannot find. I comes closer. With the light of his face, the needle becomes visible. This is not only a story of a miracle. To be near him is not to remain in darkness, but there's another side to this. A companion considered it disrespectful to stare at him for a long time when he turned his face away. Only then would they look Amar bin as I sat next to him many times, but I cannot describe his face because of his, or I could not look at him fully imagine as there's a person you are sitting next to him, but you cannot raise your eyes and look at him for a long while because of respect inside you lowers your gaze. This is not ordinary charisma, this is a weight that touches the heart. Now pay attention, you know the beauty of Yusuf. Women cut their fingers with knives, but the scholars say if the all in Yusuf had been this strong, the test would not have happened. There was beauty, but mahabbat is something different. Mahabbat is not only physical attraction, it also brings a deep spiritual love. Yet at the same time, mahabbat creates a strong desire to come closer. The more a person comes closer, the more distant. They still feel they never feel satisfied. This is not a beauty that can be explained by simple aesthetics. This carries a divine balance, and here question appears, why so many details? Why was even the shape of his hair recorded? Because this religion is not an abstract belief. This religion is a living example in flesh and blood. If he had only been an idea, his life would have been lost. But he was a walking Quran. That is why even the speed of his walk was on the memories. Anas says he usually walked fast like someone going down a slope. But when he walked from his house to the masjid, he would walk slowly while the companions say, so that we could look at him. It may sound strange, but when the companions were next to him, they could not look at him because of respect. When he was walking at a distance, they could look. They were trying even a little to reduce their longing, and because he knew their adab, he gave them this opportunity. When he noticed them, he would slow down. Maybe he also benefited from this love. Now ask yourself a question. Can we truly imagine his face, or are we only collecting information? Watching Seerah is easy, listening to Shamail is easy, but trying to resemble him even for one day is difficult, and this is where the tension begins, because Shamail is not only about beauty. Shamail means responsibility. Throughout this series, first we will look at his face, then we will approach his heart, then we will witness his burden, and at the end we will ask this for what will we use his knowledge to become like him, or will we carry it on our backs like gold carried by pack animals, and never use it in his presence? Voices would not rise in his presence, eyes would not go beyond their limits, because he was not only someone who was loved, he was also someone who was taken seriously. One day our mother Aisha tells the story of Yusuf. She speaks about the palace of Zulayha, the surprise of the women, the cutting of fingers, and she says if they had seen my master, they would have pierced the knives into their chest. This sentence is not only a sentence of love, it is a result of comparison. The beauty of Yusuf created admiration, but his beauty created not only admiration but also deep respect. Is it possible to love someone and still feel shy before them? Yes, the companions loved him, but when their eyes met his, they would lower their gaze. This is not ordinary leadership. One day, sweet. Bedouin Arab commissar man from the desert, not as refined in manners as the people of the city. Companions feel happy. Why? Because he will ask questions. Even asking a question in his presence required aid. Of companions would not ask everything that came to their minds, because in his presence the heart would tremble. This trembling was not fear, it was a trembling of knowing someone's value. Now another scene, the battlefield, dust rises, the sound of swords, hearts beating fast. As Reti Ali says, whenever we were afraid, we would take shelter behind him. Pay attention. The one who says this is Hazreti Ali, the name that comes to mind when courage is mentioned. Even he says that when they were afraid, they would stand behind him. This means Mehbet was not only in his face, it was also in his courage, it was also in his determination. There's another dimension of mahabbat. In his presence no one would act loosely, but in his presence no one would feel crushed. Either what kind of balance is this? Imagine a leader. You feel comfortable near him, but still respectful. This is a weight of character. Now let us look at our own time. Near some leaders, people act too casually. They cannot speak because of fear, but the state of companions was between these two. There was love, there was respect, there were boundaries. Mehbet is not only physical. Whatever fills a person's heart reflects on their face. His heart was filled with revelation. That is why his face was no what we call now is not electric light. It is the reflection of inner truth to the outside. Now I ask, what fills our heart? Screens, calculations, worldly plans. If the heart is full, the face shines. If the heart is empty, the face fades. In this episode you looked at his face, but we have not yet looked at his burden. We have not yet said Zemel, and I have not yet seen the moment when the knees of the camel collapsed. There was beauty, but that beauty carried a weight. Imagine to seeing the streets of Medina, children are playing, dust and laughter he is walking on. That road, in reality, a leader is passing by, but he does not just pass by. The children has stops, he gives attention to them. Sometimes he even carries a child on his shoulder, because a child is the future of society. To win the heart of a child is to win the future. One day his grandson climbs on his back during Salah. While he is in sujood, he stays there. Long do the companions become curious after prayer. They ask, he says, my grandson was on my back. I waited for him to get down. Think about this scene. a prophet in prayer, but he extends his sujood so that a child's heart will not be hurt. What kind of gentleness is this? What do we do if a child makes noise? We become impatient. If a child makes a mistake, you become harsh. But he was patient because he knew if a child's heart is broken, that break is not easily repaired. Let us return to his home. How was he at home? His wives describe him. He would help with housework. He would repair his own shoes. He would sew his clothes. Think about it. Do we see such a seen in the home of a leader today? Usually it is the opposite, but he did not hesitate to serve because in his understanding leadership, his service side Academy had him the leader of the people, is the one who served them. This word is not only for society, it is also for the home. One day he races with his wife in one race, he wins in another, his wife wins, and he smiles and says this is a victory. This scene is very warm and prophet, but also a gentle husband. This is a detail that increases humanity now. Our hearts soften a little because we see him not only on the pulpit but also at home, not only in war but also in the street. This balance creates admiration. A man comes, he speaks in a harsh way, maybe rude. The companions become tense, but he remains calm. He answers with a smile, and the man changes. Sometimes a smile is more powerful than a sword. Now let us look at ourselves. How are we among people? Harsh, distant, or warm? A person's religiosity is not measured only by worship, it is measured by how they treat people. Because he lived among people in this section where he felt warmth, the home, seen a street, seen a child's laughter, a spouse's smile. These details remove him from being an unreachable figure, and maybe that is why they bring him closer to our hearts. But there's another side behind all this warmth. There was depth, there was seriousness, there was dignity, there was measuring. The next part, we will enter that weight, the burden of revelation, how a human body was shaken in the cry of cover me, Heros, silent dark fire from the noise of the city. There's a man there, 40 years older, chose loneliness among them. Rocks looking at the sky, disturbed by the system of the world, disturbed by idols, disturbed by injustice. But he is not yet a prophet. Revelation has not yet begun. Then a moment the sky comes close to the earth. Jibril comes, a powerful contact. Ikra, read. I do not know how to read again. Pressure, tighten his breath, becoming short. Ikra. This is not an ordinary voice. This is command descending upon the destiny of humanity. And at that moment a body shakes, a heart trembles, a man is no longer the same man. The descent from the mountain begins fast. Steps are racing, heart, the door opens, and that sentence, Zemaluna, Zemaluni, cover me, cover me. Think about this sentence slowly. The one who will become the strongest man in the world after the first revelation. He is trembling. Why? Because revelation is not like today. We listen to revelation with beautiful voices, but when it first came, it came with great weight. Our mother Aisha explains, a cold of Medina is strong homes, a cold breath turns into mist. When revelation came, sweat would drip from his forehead in the cold while trembling. What is this weight? The weight of words? No, the weight of responsibility. One day while he was on his camel named Castle, revelation came. Those who witnessed it say the knees of the camel began to shake, then it collapsed. Even an animal could not carry it. So what about that body, that human, that heart? Another companion says we were sitting knee to knee. We understood that revelation was coming. Me knees felt like they would break if the knees of the one touching him felt like breaking. What was the state of the one receiving revelation? This is not a burden that an ordinary human can carry. That is why the say my Lord trained me, and he trained me in the best way, is not empty words. There is a spiritual side to this training and also a physical side, because revelation does not descend upon an ordinary body. That body had been prepared. Now I will ask a question: how do we see revelation? As a text, as a source of information, as a cultural element, or as a burden? When it first came down, it was heavy. Today it feels like. Why? Because we are not carrying it. We read it, we listened to it, we share it, but we do not live it. When the first revelation came, the world changed, but the change did not happen immediately. The first thing that changed was his heart. Because revelation first descends to the heart, then to life. Do you know what our problem is today? Revelation descends to the ear, but not to the heart. The ear is light, the heart is heavy. If it descends to the heart, life changes. If it stays in the ear, it becomes only emotion. What started that night in Hira was not a text projected, it was a life project. And that life would go to Bad, would go to Uhud, would go to Hudaybiyah, would go to the conquest of Mecca. Revelation was heavy because behind it there was sacrifice. Now think today we love those who recite revelation beautifully, but what about those who live it beautifully? If there were a competition, who should come first? The one who recites revelation best or the one who lives revelation best? The answer is clear, but our preference is different because living is difficult. It requires sacrifice from sleep, it requires sacrifice from wealth, it requires sacrifice from comfort. There is no taking without giving. Even in this world system there is none. You pay money to buy bread, you pay money to buy water to expect paradise in the hereafter without paying a price. What kind of calculation is this? The first revelation was heavy, now it is light because we have made it cheap. We take the verse we like, we choose a hadith that pleases us, we delay the part that is difficult. There is a hadith in Tirmizi: whoever explains the Quran according to his own opinion, let him prepare his place in hell. Do you know what this means? Revelation is not a toy, revelation is a burden, and a burden must be carried. Now let me hold a mirror to you in the last month. What have you sacrificed for revelation? 1 hour of sleep, 1 habit, 1 expense? Or did you only listen? Listening is easy, carrying is difficult. The one who does not understand the weight of revelation cannot fully understand Shomail either, because behind that face there was a burden, behind those eyes there was responsibility. That is why the companions who could not look at his face were also ready to give their lives. Behind him a habit was not empty, it came from the weight of revelation. We are still at the beginning, we have not yet spoken about that spiritual rank, we have not yet ascended to Mi'o, we have not yet stood at Sidratul Muntaha. In the next section we will ask this: what was the spiritual personality behind this physical body? Imagine a scene, a dusted battlefield, 300 and something people in front of the man army of 1,001 man, his hands raised to the sky. Why Arab? If this group is destroyed, there will be no one left on earth to worship you. This is not an ordinary doer, this is the birth pain of an Ummah hand. At that moment angels descend Jibril. Mikhail coming as helpers. What kind of rank is this? Think of a man in the market. He negotiates while buying a horse, but in war angels stand in line beside him. Can you hold these two scenes together in one mind? Mirage, whoever thinks this was only a one-night event loses a lot. Mirage is an ascension up to Sidratul Muntaha, the place where Jibril stopped. Beyond this point I cannot pass. Think about it. The angel who brought the Quran, the angel who taught prayer, he stops there and he continues. What kind of rank is this? Cave scene is close. As two bows, you cannot solve this with a mind. It is felt with a heart. Now let us look at this from another angle. Sometimes we read Seerah or learn about horse negotiations. We know which battle happened in which year, but we do not realize this today. The reason for our creation is his existence. This is a heavy sentence, but this is a truth. If he had not existed, we would not exist. A person who truly feels this sentence, would they struggle with empty doubts? No, because their center does not shift. There is a sentence. The one who does not understand his spiritual personality cannot be saved from doubts. This is a very strong sentence, but it is true. Only historical knowledge does not save. Only memorizing events does not survey. It is necessary to understand the spiritual rank. Otherwise, one day a person may get stuck in unnecessary questions like, how can this be? Because they are looking only at the shell. Now pay attention. Another seen the market, a horse, a Bedouin, a disagreement. Huzaifa gives testimony. This is an ordinary human scene, but the same person. In Mirage passes beyond Sidratul Muntaha. It is difficult to hold these two states together, but this is the truth. Our problem is this: either we look only at the sky, only at the ground, but he united both human while negotiating in the market, holding a beyond human rank while ascending in Mirage. This is a two-sided balance, and we have lost this balance. Either we buried ourselves in the world or we stayed only in imagination. Now ask yourself, do you truly think about his spiritual rank, or do you just listen and move on? Whatever the heart sees as great, a person builds their life according to that. If his rank seems small in your eyes, the world becomes big. If his rank is big, the world becomes small. It is that simple. Spiritual personality means this: he was not only a guide, he was a son of two worlds junior. And Akira, think of it like the trunk of a tree. Its root is in the earth, its branches are on earth. If we stay attached only to the branches, we cannot see the root. Now the tension will slowly increase because a question appears of one who holds such a high rank. Can he make a mistake? What is Zel? What is Ismet? What does Surah base tell us? In the next section we will enter these questions, and then we will see another face, his face in front of divine warning. Now we have come to a very sensitive door. On one side there is greatness, there is Mirage, there is Sidratul Muntaha, there is a rank where angels stand in rows. On the other side there is a voice of warning. He frowned and turned away. How can the same mind carry these two scenes together? Here the matter of Ismet and Zel begins. First let us draw a clear line. Prophets do not commit sins. This is the attribute of Ismet. It means divine protection, continuous guarding, continuous preservation, but this does not mean they stop being human. To be human means to have potential, but that potential is protected by a divine barrier. Here Zel enter Zel means a slip, not a major sin, a small choice corrected by divine warning. In the Quran this word is used for Hazreti Adam. His foot slipped. That was a zeal. Now let us go to Makkah. Room inside are the elite of Quraysh: Walid bin Mujara, Utbah bin Rabi, Umayyah bin Halaf, the strongest men of the city, the most influential names. They are sitting in front of them. As him he is speaking, he is explaining the truth of faith to them. Maybe one of them will believe, maybe the balance of Makkah will change. At that moment someone enters through the door, a man whose eyes do not see. Abdullah bin Maktum, his heart is open. Ya Razel, Allah teach me from what Allah has taught you. He says it once, no answer. He says it a second time, no answer, because at that moment he is speaking with the powerful leaders of Makkah. A strategic moment, maybe a turning point, and a brief choice. He slightly turns his face. At that moment revelation descends. Abes Watawala, he frowned and turned away because a blind man came to him. Think about this verse: to a rank where angels stand in rows. A warning comes because of a slight turning of The face, what kind of sensitivity is this? Though you know what happened after that day. Whenever he saw a Mectum, he would say, welcome the one because of whom Allah warned me. He would say this gently to him, for him divine warning was not shame, it was a blessing. Now another scene of Zel, his youth years marker affair, the sound of drums and entertainment gathering and leaves his animals with a friend. Let me go and see, he says he walks, but suddenly sleep overcomes him. He falls where he is when he wakes up. The fair is finished, another day of ceremony for the idol Biwani. He prepares, he is about to go again, a heaviness again, sleep cannot go. What is this? Is my protection even before Prophet Thudavain training another, seen the well of Zamzam is being repaired. He is carrying stones, his shoulder becomes hurt. His uncle Abba says, put your lower garment over your shoulder, so it does not get hurt just as he is about to do it. He faints, he falls, his body is not allowed to be exposed. This too is protection, this too is training. Now let us look at Surah Faisal, that Allah may forgive for you what came before and what will come later of your sin. His verse makes many people think, was there not no sin? The words in here are phased to human potential, not an actual sin. The attribute of ism, it prevented it, but the possibility of being human exists. This verse speaks about that possibility. Now the matter becomes deeper, the one who holds such a high rank, why does he receive such delicate warnings? Because a measure as high as rank rises, sensitivity increases things. We would not even notice they are corrected immediately. This is not weakness, this is being chosen. Now let us hold a mirror to ourselves. How many warnings do we receive? How many times are we corrected? How many times do we make mistakes? Yet most of the Timino verse descends, because the measure is different, but this should not make us comfortable, it should make us afraid. Because their small turning of the face here may be equal to a big neglect we say about our mistake is we are human. But he even in his zeal was corrected immediately. To understand this difference says to understand responsibility, to know the difference between zeal and sin is to know the difference between rebellion and a slip. And many times we turn slipping into a habit. In this section we saw divine warning. Now we will move to another door. A prophet who did not read or write but a book
These khajur are very
amazed humanity.
Yes,
what kind of
they are the
balance is
best I
this?
have
And more
had.
importantly, in this century, what will save us? Knowledge or purity? Mark of the desert wind is strong. The society is small. Everyone knows each other. About 10,000 people. Those who can read and write 16, maybe 17 people. This is a report mentioned by Bella's Uriner. Think in this city there's a man until the age of 40. He never learned to read or write. Everyone knows this because the society is small. A secret cannot be hidden. And one day this man says, I'm the messenger of Allah. If he had been the greatest scholar that time, what would they say? He was already educated, learned from the Greeks or the Romans. He used to write things anyway, but they could not say this because he was Ikra. This is the first command, read. And he says, I do not know how to read. Now pay attention. There is not yet a written Quran in front of him. What reading is being asked? This means a matter is not only reading letters, there is another meaning of reading, to read. The universe to read, Lefeta, read yourself. But before everything to read a command, Allah gives everything with a deposit. He produces honey through the sting of a bee. He produces silk through a small insect without hands. And the Quran that amazed humanity, he sent it through a prophet who could not read or write. Why? So that it would be clear this is not from him. The door of doubt is closed. But the matter does not end here. Let us go to Hudaybiyah, the 6th year after Hijrah. 14 people set out with the intention of Umrah, but Makkah does not allow theme. A negotiation table is set on the other side. As Suhail bin Amr smart to diplomat Hazreti Ali is writing as a scribe. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Suhail objects, we do not know Rahman, do not write it, it is erased. This is the agreement between Muhammad Rasulullah and Suhail. Objection, if I accepted that you are the messenger of Allah, I would not be here. Write Muhammad son of Abdullah. Hazreti Ali stops. By Allah, I will not erase it. Then that sentence comes. Show me, I will erase. If he point to it with his blessed fingers, he erases it. What does this meant is his proof of his state. He erases it with his own hand. Think of a leader. He allows his own title to be erased for strategy, for peace, for patience. But now the matter goes to another place. What does Yumi mean? Natural purity, no prejudice, free from the pride of knowledge. In this century, what will save use, knowledge or purity? In Makkah, there was a man, his real name was Amir bin Hisham. What did society call him? Abu al-Hakam, the father of wisdom. He could read and write. He was intelligent, a politician. But he said he is not Abu al-Hakam, he is Abu Jahl. Why? Because there was knowledge, but there was no purity. The mind was full, the heart was closed. Wali bin Magaya, intelligent. He listens to the Quran, he is affected. Then he withdraws, he calculates. How can I oppose this? The Quran says, she thought and calculated, may be destroyed. How he calculated, hey, the idol of knowledge appears. Knowledge can lead a person to truth, but if knowledge joins with pride, it becomes a veil over truth. Now I ask you, how many scholars do we watch? How many different opinions do we listen to? But which one do we live? The mind may be full, but if there's no action, what increases is pride. This is a very hard sentence, but it is true. Knowledge increases, but if sacrifice does not increase, a person begins to sell himself. He gains respect through his knowledge, he gains status through knowledge, but he does not carry its burden. Ummi is not weakness, it is revolution. Ummi means purity. It means a heart untouched by arrogance. It means knowledge without pride. It means submission before intelligence. Asya believed inside the palace of Pharaoh. Abu Jahl stood beside the messenger of Allah and remained in darkness. So the matter is not knowledge. The matter is submission. And here begins a real question. If there is Iman, its proof is action. If there is sincerity, its proof is action. If there is Tawhid, its reflection must appear in life, not intention. Action. As Bidi Zaman said, Nursi said, if in your actions there is no pleasure of Allah, the claim of sincere intention is weak. We listen to Seerah for hours. We take notes. We feel emotional. But what did the companions do? They listened, and then they migrated to Habasha. They listened, and then they stood in Bad. They climbed Uhud. They dug the trench in Azab. They endured Hudaybiyah. Knowledge turned into movement. What do? We listen. We like. We share. But what do we sacrifice? Imagine a scene. The Battle of Qadisiyah. Maktum, blind. He has permission not to fight. He says, give me the flag. I cannot see the enemy, and I cannot run away. This is not madness. This is the measure of Iman. We, on the other hand, measure ourselves by excuses. I have worked. I have children. I am tired. I have no time. Did the companions not have these things? They did, but their priority was different. They planned for the hereafter. We squeeze the hereafter around the world. Now ask yourself, will knowledge save you, or will purity save you? Knowledge is necessary, but without purity, knowledge becomes poison. Ummi means a clean heart, no prejudice, no arrogance, knowing yourself, because the real meaning of Iqra is not just read. It is read yourself. The one who cannot read himself, cannot read his Lord. Until now we have seen his face, his mercy, the weight of revelation, his spiritual rank, his purity, but something remains. Fatana, sharp intelligence, leadership, strategy. The Kaaba is being rebuilt. Yes, the tribes are about to spill blood over Hajar al-Aswad. Young Muhammad enters. They say, this is Al-Amin. Let him decide. He places a stone on a cloth. Each tribe holds a corner. They live together. He places it with his own hands. A crisis ends. No blood is spilled. That is not just intelligence. That is leadership. Hudaybiyah. The agreement feels humiliating. The companions are shaken. But he signs. Why? Because he sees what others cannot see. Peace will allow the message to spread. And what happened? Within a year, Makkah is conquered. This is Fatana. Not reacting emotionally, but stepping back at the right moment. Sometimes intelligence is advancing. Sometimes intelligence is patience. The conquest of Makkah, 10,000 people, power in his hands. Revenge is possible. He says, there is no blame upon you today. This is not only mercy. This is social transformation. If he had taken revenge, hatred would grow. By forgiving, he won hearts. A man comes and says, I want to commit zina. The crowd is shocked. He does not shout. He does not insult. He asks, would you want it for your mother? For your daughter? The man says no. He builds reasoning. He heals a heart. That is not only advice. That is psychology. That is Fatana united with mercy. Now look at our age. Information is everywhere. Everyone speaks. Everyone comments. Everyone analyzes. But who carries responsibility? Fatana is not talking. It is taking the right step at the right time. Today knowledge increased. Technology increased. But wisdom decreased. Why? Because knowledge separated from purity. Intelligence separated from submission. In him, they were united. In us, they are divided. Without Iman, intelligence becomes dangerous. Without intelligence, Iman remains weak. Abu Jahl was intelligent, but arrogant. Khalid ibn Walid was intelligent, and he submitted. The difference, the heart. Now we reach the final question. Will we collect knowledge, or will we walk? Watching is easy. Walking is heavy. If you truly love him, something in your life must change. One habit must fall. One fear must shrink. One courage must rise. One sin must be abandoned. Otherwise, love remains emotion, and emotion fades. The companions did not only admire, they acted. Abu Bakr gave wealth. Umar carried justice. Uthman opened his treasures. Ali offered his life. What have we offered? This series was not meant to entertain. It was meant to disturb. Shamil is a mirror. When you look at him, you see yourself. And you must choose excuses or transformation. Now the decision is yours. Will this remain a beautiful story, or will it become a turning point? If this message created even a small discomfort in your heart, if you believe this reminder should reach others, then help this mission grow. Subscribe to the channel, like the video so it reaches more hearts. Comment so the message spreads further. Not for numbers, but for reward. Because when guidance reaches someone through you, you share in its reward. May Allah make us people of action, not excuses. May He unite knowledge with purity in our hearts. May He give us courage to walk, not just watch. May He make us busy with His mission, not distracted by Junior. Ameen.